you need to become your own authority figure. And I call it your chief health officer. Your chief health. You need to become the authority figure for yourself. We are listening. We are used to listening to authority all the time. And don't let anybody take that from you. But you need to be your own authority and trust it.
This is Doctor Talks.
Well, Elaine Gibson, I'm so excited to have you on this episode or this segment of Regenerative Medicine Summit. You have such a powerful story. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I'm honored to be part of the work that you do in any way to contribute to that and get to people and to really help them. But thank you. I really, really love being here with you. I always love being with you.
We always have a great chat.
We do.
Yeah, you're such a cool gal and cool energy, and yeah, I love it. So let's let the audience know a little bit about your incredible work. Elaine Gibson is the healthy lifestyle designer and a disease prevention expert. She is the CEO of Renewed Living and creator of the Extraordinary Living Made Easy method. Is cited as one of the world's top 10 natural cancer survivors by Extreme Health Radio. So you're scored as number 4, having beaten stage 4 cancer with an integrated approach. She shares her hard-won lessons worldwide. Elaine lost 28 pounds and 4 sizes along the way. She's a sought-after speaker, author, mentor, and a green juice loving grandmother. That is awesome.
That's the best, right?
Yeah, I love that. Women has been hiring Elaine to shed 2 to 5 sizes, create disease-free optimum health naturally without giving up chocolate. Yeah, if you can promise that for ladies, then yeah, they'll give you the world. So tell I mean, I like to kind of preface with the story. I know you told your story a lot, but I think it is really important for people to hear kind of how your back was against the wall and you had to create a change. And I mean, obviously the message is, let's create the change before our back is against the wall. And your story really highlights that.
Yes, thank you. Well, none of us is prepared for this. And I had a very, very early touch on the shoulder with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2000. And in 6 months, I was cancer-free. And I knew that traditional protocols was not my first line of offense, because I really felt that chemicals and toxins kind of got me where I was. So, as I said, it was very early, and after 5 years, my oncologist said, "You're done, Elaine. Have a nice life," right? 18 months, that was 5 years. 18 months later, the same woman said, "Elaine, I don't think you're going to see your grandchildren grow up." 2008, my husband Nevin and I had gone to, December 2007. We had an incredible trip in the Galapagos Islands. Came home. If you haven't done it, put it on your wish list. I never say bucket list. Put it on your wish list. So we came back and I just felt like something was off. I'm an athlete. I'm a dancer. So I'm very tuned into my body. And it was just off, and it was moving all around. Lymphoma, right? Moving all around. I thought I had a parasite. And nobody was in a hurry but me. We started, and ulcer, this and that. Just kept pushing everybody because it's what we do, right? And 2 days before Valentine's Day, my oncologist called and said, because when she calls instead of the nurse, something's the matter, right? And first they thought I had an aortic embolism. It was just, nobody knew. And then there it was, stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was covered from here and here, from here to here. My PET scan was a Christmas tree. I looked at it once. I've never seen it since, because it's really not the energy I want to have it, right? So I took a deep breath. My husband and I were due to leave on vacation the next day. Took me 2.5 hours to get convinced the airlines, So I came home and I fell to my knees and literally, and don't ask me why, right? I just fell to my knees and I looked up and I said, God, no, I'm not going to die. Just tell me what you want me to learn. I have no idea why that was my first action. And from there, I kept asking, what do you want me to learn? What do you want me to learn? What do you want me to learn? I was probably the only person besides my children who didn't think I was dying. And I'm not sure that they were in on that, but I was like, it never occurred to me. Like, it's crazy. It never occurred to me that I was going to die. I'm an athlete, went into training. I did what I knew how to do, but again, it's not going down the traditional road. I went to Mexico. Don't ask me, anybody, they're closed. But I was looking for low dose chemotherapy. I was looking for IPT. And that's what I knew at the time, right? And I went for 3 weeks, and I was a mess, a mess. And I came home. I don't know if you know this. I came home with shingles, right? And I went like this in the drugstore parking lot when we went to get my medicine, and my hair started to come out in my hands. Nobody loses their hair in IPT, right? That's the state I was in. It was the only time my husband had a horrified look. My hair was almost this long. That's why I still wear my hair long, even though it's this color now, and I'm much older. Just came out in my hands. So we threw everything at it, and I changed my food a little bit, dairy, sugar. To me, this was a religion. Like, I had said, it took me facing death to get serious about living. And I don't say that flippantly, and unfortunately, even people, when they are facing a diagnosis, they still don't make the changes. But I had children and grandchildren, and both my children had lost all 4 of their grandparents in the last 18 months. So I wasn't going anywhere. That was not the plan. So interestingly, this is February now, it's August. In September, I was going 5 days a week. I found a center near me, wasn't near you then, where I could continue. And in September, I was actually introduced to hydrogenated, oxygenated water. And I went from being covered here to one spot in 6 months. Because the most important lesson that I learned, if I would whittle it down to one thing, that it's all about oxygen. Dr. Anna Warburg, and cancer's an anaerobic cell, can't live in the presence of oxygen. I'm a choreographer. I'm not a scientist, although I have a science degree. Choreographer. I saw the end result, right? Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. So what I did from that moment on, how do I get oxygen and alkalinity in my body today? I still, all these years later, we're talking, I'm past 77. How do I get oxygen and alkalinity in my body? Everything changed. 2 years, I was cancer-free, still nervous because it had come back before. At that time, 2 years later, I discovered Lisa Wilson in the Raw Food Institute. And I walked in, it was a 7-day immersion she had. And I'd never had green juice before. She handed us green juice, right? I drank it for 2 hours. I was so embarrassed. I kept going back. My cells were going, okay, girlfriend, you're getting it now. Now you're getting it. And there was no turning back. I became certified as a raw food educator and trained very medicinally. I am really very, very medicinal, and Wigmore, Hippocrates. That's how I'm trained. That's how I live, and that's what we do. And the rest, as they say, is history. And I've never looked back. And so now I put a ribbon around it. So what do you want me to do? This, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's such an incredible calling, and it's so important for people to recognize, because we don't realize how we need to stop and consider what our life patterns are
Yes.
until we're forced to. So, and with patients coming to my center, it is so much easier to address things ahead of time than to address them when all of a sudden you're faced with these where your time limit is very short, and you have to really put your boots on and get things done quickly. It's so much nicer to kind of be in tune with your body and recognize when things are starting to be off. I mean, so tell me a little bit about kind of the body kind of whispering. I mean, how should people know kind of when to start to kind of realize that they need to do something?
The moment they get a symptom of anything anywhere in their body. So yes, your body, the wisdom of the body is always speaking to us. We are not created to be sick. We're created to be healthy. So the creator, whatever format that is for you, whatever your source is, has given us everything, including what I call God's garden. So, and we get symptoms. Our body is talking to us, whispering. It starts as a whisper. Sometimes it becomes a hammer, or in my case, it became a Mack truck, right? In forms of symptoms that become so familiar, we believe they're a natural part of aging. And it's all the symptoms that we have, whether it's insomnia, whether it's exhaustion, whether it's headaches, whether it's inflammation, whether it's autoimmune, whether it's allergies, whether it's joint pain, whether it's constipation. And I'll tell you, depression, whatever it is, it's all connected to the health of our cells. And when they're awry, we get symptoms. And if you don't listen, you start to get a little bit more. Oprah, I love how she talks about it. First you get a pebble, then you get a stone, then you get a brick, then you get a brick wall. And if you're still not listening, the Mack truck is heading your way. And the idea is for us to be aware earlier, which is why I'm so thrilled for what you're doing, so that people can understand that we're not, and I don't know why. And I can't say that if I was queen for a day, I could wave my magic wand, which I have, but we're just not educated to be that way. But we are, we get an oil light in our car and we go like that. But if we get inflammation and we're not sleeping, we're just, oh, I'm so busy, my mind is going and this and that. That's just the way it is. That's not a badge of honor.
And people need to recognize that the body only has certain limited amount of ways to communicate.
Yes.
And so,
what a great point.
Yeah, we have, when things are going awry in the body, and also that can be emotionally, spiritually, physically, then the body is trying to communicate it through different ways. And that is exactly like the symptoms that you're talking about, starting with a whisper, but then it gets more and more. I mean, as we, instead of getting used to the symptoms, we need to then recognize that the body is trying to talk. And by not listening to it, then, like you're saying, the pebble becomes a stone, then ends up with a Mack truck. So we need to honor the body's communication And then if we are then in tune with the body and listen and address the things that are, are being told to us, then we're able to prevent, these dire situations.
Exactly. And that's so true. And the thing that's so concerning and heartbreaking is that so often people are living life in the fast lane that they don't even see the signs. And your body just keeps sending different signals until it gets a language, a message that resonates with you. And maybe the small one doesn't. But then all of a sudden, when your back goes out because it's inflamed, you may listen to it has to get that far because you're not understanding that the fact that you're not sleeping is, and then it keeps going and going. And I remember when, probably in the late 80s, I was on a women's tennis team, and unexpectedly we ended up going to the regionals. So I went down to work with my tennis coach, thinking I was going to get all this fancy, there's these fancy shots, and we're working and bend your knees, follow through, watch the ball. And I'm going, Warfield, when are you going to get me ready? He said, Elaine, it's all about the foundation. You got to have the foundation right. And he kept saying the same things until what his words resonated with me. And your body is the same way. It's, and unfortunately, there's so much conflicting information that we don't really have we don't have the exposure, when COVID came. Well, oh my goodness, what a perfect time that would have been. But the only talk in the beginning of COVID was toilet paper. What would have that? You and I are out here taking vitamin C and doing everything that we want to do, and people are worried about toilet paper. Hello, we missed the opportunity.
Yeah, it was such a tremendous ability for a wake-up call to recognize the need to change lifestyle, because we saw that obviously the people with poor lifestyle, with the comorbidity like diabetes, heart disease, issues, obesity, all these things that are connected to poor health choices, that if we would have had the opportunity, or if we would have communicated about the need to address those things, how all of this would have played out differently.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. What a concept. Could you imagine that? Yes, we dream about it. We can't imagine. That's why we're here, right?
Well, and I love how with your tennis, the foundation, it's the same thing with nutrition, with lifestyle.
Absolutely.
It's these basic principles that you do repetitively again and again and again, and having that foundation solid. I mean, yes, we can talk about these fancy therapies and fancy pills and mitochondrial this and peptide that, and all those are incredible, but along with that, you have to have the foundation.
You have to eat right.
So
you just have to eat right. Right.
Yeah, I know. It's eat, think, move right.
Right. All of it. Right. You're so right.
So one of the things, and I love when you're talking about the juice and how you drank it for like 2 hours. So and that's you talk about something called the starving cell syndrome, and talk about your cells starving and needing that nutrition at that time.
Well, it's interesting because when I realized that I had to go from just having private clients, when I can kind of just not by the seat of my pants, but it could be more reactive, right, in responding to what they were experiencing. That I realized that I have to put it in a deliverable way to have an impact beyond what my time can be. And I was trying to create a way to communicate that would bring it down, people could understand like that. And it actually came from a copywriter in a boot camp I was in. And I was saying, and this, and this, and this, and, and she said, your cells are starving. And I went, oh my goodness gracious, wow. And that changed all of my messaging. It can change all the way I communicate. But that wasn't enough, because that was, yeah, my cells are starving. So, but to come to the realization that we get into starving cell syndrome, that's something specific we can break. And when our cells are starving, we're functioning in crisis mode. And when we are in crisis mode, nothing works. We can't release the toxins. We can't, nothing. We have to eliminate what's going on, the toxins and everything in our body. And that's the only way to get out of starving cell syndrome, is to give the body what it needs. Again, from God's garden, we're designed to thrive in nature. And, I'm sure a lot of people that you speak with and that will be watching your summit are business owners. And, it's like your balance sheet and your profit and loss. What you are reading on your balance sheet is a result, not of what you did today, but what you did 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. In business, everything's a 90-day, a quarter cycle. I call it, I don't speak in quarters, I speak in seasons, but starting here, your profit will be greater, right? And the same with your body. The same, everything that's coming is a result of what you've done in the past, whether the short window or that's been building up and building up. But we have got to get people understanding that starving cells are a disaster.
Yeah, the body has a tremendous ability to compensate, but when it is compensating, it is using less desirable tool to achieve a goal. And so, for instance, if we're mineral deficient, then all of a sudden the body starts to hold on to heavy metals like mercury and lead and cadmium, and try to put that into building of the tissue, building of enzymes. And obviously that's kind of like using a tool that is completely dysfunctional than to build a house. And you're not going to be able to do that. I mean, try to use the little paper hammer to drive a nail. I mean, it looks good, but it's not going to achieve what we're wanting it to achieve. And it's the same thing. The only way we can allow the body to function appropriately is to give it the tools that it needs in order to be able to achieve what it's supposed to do.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. I used to be a severe migraine sufferer. I've been hospitalized and with it, right? And my dad had migraine, so it's like, well, but no, it wasn't. And it turned out that there was mold in the air, and I was chronically dehydrated. And one of the things that I realized at how the body does what you do and what we reach for is that, again, being an athlete, and people get lactic acid and they get their sore muscles and stuff, and the body in all its wisdom looks for where there's water in the body, so it goes to the brain and takes it to your muscles and you get a headache, right? So what do? You reach for Tylenol or Advil, but nobody has a Tylenol deficiency. You're dehydrated, so it's like, okay, so if we can get people to take a deep breath and say, what's going on? What's the root cause? What do my cells need?
Yeah,
it's not rocket science.
No, it really isn't. And that's a thing, like you're saying, just the fundamentals. Are you dehydrated? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting the minerals and nutrients? Are you getting living food? I mean, the body can't make tissue from Cheerios, that really does not continue. It doesn't contain all the substances that we need for all the amazing processes that takes place in the body. I mean, the intelligence in the body, in the cells, is incredible. And all it's asking is just give me the things that you need to give me what I need to function, and then I'll do all these beautiful things in your body. And then God has provided all of that around us. And here we're reaching for something in a box that's, it's not food anymore.
It's not food at all. It's not food at all. And, these fads, I'm just going to call them fads, they come and go, right? And I've got all the badges: Jenny Craig, Nutrisystems, Weight Watchers. I did Atkins, right? High carbs, low carbs, high fat, low fat. My mother and I even did the rye bread diet when she was alive. I mean, that's, but it's really not the fault of your listeners, because there is so much conflicting information. And even now, I cannot believe, I am astounded at how many of my friends and acquaintances, people I come across, are eating so much bacon. Right? I mean, this is why. Okay, so when did bacon become healthy and living food become controversial? They're eating more bacon, they're eating more cheese, it's like, wait a minute. And then they're so sick. It breaks my heart. Again, which I'm so grateful for all the work that you do.
Yeah, it's the body needs, and that's the thing with plant food, is that they contain intelligence within them, meaning they actually release light as you are ingesting, that stored light from the sun through the photosynthesis, and as you're ingesting, you're actually, those biophotons, that light, is then emitted, in the different frequencies that exist within the plant, and that enhances our cellular intelligence. Dead food clogs things up, and yes, it contains some of the raw material, but it doesn't have that kind of living aspect to it, that intelligence that comes along with it.
Yeah. Yes. So true.
So what are some through your whole process? I mean, you've gone through quite a journey. I mean, what are some of the kind of main components that you learned that you feel is really important for people out there to incorporate in their lives?
Well, starting with the concept that it's all about energy and oxygen. Looking at, so my philosophy is now, when I was in a health crisis, it was, 100%, relentless. It was like my religion, right? And we spend so much time, there's so much wonderful, wonderful conversations about meditation. We spend a lot of time looking up. We don't look down to the ground. Right? And that's where it is. So a couple of things. I go by 80-20, right? Everything's 80-20, right? 80% of what you eat needs to be alkaline foods. Period. Bottom line. Right? And if you can create an environment, which is why I call myself the healthy lifestyle designer, because putting it all together, creating your environment so that you're not tempted to go back, and what's in your pantry, what's in your refrigerator, little by little, starting your day. Everybody in my world starts their day with hot water and lemon. Sounds, easy enough. First thing, your brain gets hydrated, your body is flushed. It's amazing how many women call me and say, oh my gosh, Elaine, I'm pooping. Right? They haven't pooped in years, really, the way you're supposed to. And, so many of the people that, again, are here are really people with visions, but it's hard to change the world when you can't even poop. And when you your body starts to work like that. So if you will look at bringing just a little bit at a time, and 80% on the alkaline side, you can find a chart anywhere. It becomes the difference of depriving yourself and making good choices. Not what I'm going to leave out, but what I'm going to leave in, what I'm going to bring in. If you can do that much, if you can look and find 3 highly alkaline foods that you can bring into your life, you will feel like $1 million. The other thing is, we're designed to thrive in nature. Bringing nature in to the house. So I have these flowers that are here. I always have flowers in my house. Always. They're not expensive. That bouquet was $5. That vase happens to sit on my dining room table, but I have a smaller vase in my office all the time, right? Bring flowers in, bring plants in. Little things like that make such a difference. And a little bit of self-care goes a long way. You are not too busy for self-care. One little thing that we find so helpful, and it's so funny, and don't roll your eyes, right? Wherever you are washing your hands, have lotion. We have lotion, good quality, right? At every sink. So you are putting a little bit of lotion on your hands. You're massaging your palms. It's 10 seconds for you. You are increasing circulation, oxygen, right? And you're feeling good. It's 10 seconds for yourself. That is life-changing. And once you really get at it, then look in the mirror and you go. Little things like that make such a difference that you can handle the bigger things.
Yeah,
play music. Keep music in the house. Little things like that, because as your stress, as you start to feel better, now you are naturally having more oxygen in your body, and you're not like, oh, I can't bring one more thing into my life, But I don't know. Life's too short for excuses.
Yeah, those are such powerful tools, and in regards to pooping, I mean, if we can't get the toxins out, then yeah, we need to, just by drinking water, bringing more alkaline. So a lot of the toxins are acidic.
Yeah.
And the body does not dare to start to move acidic waste if it doesn't have an alkaline buffer. So by eating more alkaline, the body is then able to start to detoxify a lot of the chemicals that are acidic, and that will then open up. And then by drinking more fluid, obviously, then we can poop, we can pee, we can sweat more. And then also breathing oxygen, like the plants you were talking about, all of them produce oxygen. They grab carbon dioxide and then produce oxygen. So here we have your 4 pathways of elimination to get rid of toxins, just by very simple measure, just by doing that. And then in your hands, for people to recognize, we have all these reflex points, in your hands, in your feet. And by doing a simple thing like that, like 10 minutes, you can kind of find where the sore spots are. That tends to be kind of nerves that are related to an organ that may need a little extra love and care. And so then you just kind of hang on that spot and massage that a little bit. And it really has a tremendous impact on an individual's health. And then music, I mean, vibration. I mean, we are vibrational beings, and bringing good sound that make us happy, and This is awesome. Yeah. See,
We
and
have
these
it
are,
all the time in our
yeah.
house. Now, I do, I'm a theater person, but that's how that's why I have it all the time. But I resonate with it. And once you start doing it, we didn't, that was unexpected for me, actually. When my husband turned 75, he's going to be 79 in a couple of weeks. My children gave him an Echo Plus. We started having music. So easy. I won't say it because she's sitting right here, but play whatever it is, Sometimes for me, it's Judy Garland. Sometimes it's Broadway. Sometimes it's Dancing Queen. Sometimes it's, smooth jazz or whatever it is. But it was amazing. It has totally changed our life all the time. We sit down to dinner and Nevin picks whatever it is, and we have music and we hold our hands and we're grateful. But I'll tell you something. My orchids, I have 12 re-blooming orchids in my house. Some of them are blooming for the third and the fourth time. I've got 2 of them right in my office. They're all over. That's what's happening. That's what's happening to your cells.
They just love the vibration, and then they give back.
Yes.
They give back with beauty and colors and
Yes.
stimulation of your nerves, your brain, yeah, just by seeing them around.
Joy. Isn't that in the end what we're all seeking, is joy?
Yeah, absolutely. And all these, so how, and this will have a ripple effect, and this is what's important for people to recognize. I mean, when you do these simple steps for yourself, then that then starts to impact your relationships, your family, your friendship. I mean, what have you seen in your life when you by making these changes, and how's that impacted the people around you?
That's a great question. And it's interesting because, you're a prophet everywhere but your own home. Right. So, and parents say that all the time. I can't get my kids to do this or that, whenever we're talking in this space of food and this and that. So now my children, as we speak, are 52 and 54. My grandchildren go from 12 to 25. So, but years ago, there was nothing I could do except do it. As they've seen me evolve, they talk about the ripple, right? And let me just say, this is the only way to truly sustain weight loss. It's not the loss of weight, it's your body finding its set point, its right point, right? No more scales, no more counting calories, no more like that. But my children are all green juicers now. My children and my in-law children, 4 of them, they are all green juicers. The grandchildren are, a lot of them are drinking green juice. When I go to visit my son in California, they meet me when they pick me up with fresh green juice, right? So, but here's what I've seen. They're happier. Okay. That ripples everywhere. Their food has totally changed. Our relationship has changed. And their relationships have changed. With their families, I see not that there was bad relationships, but I see an evolution of depth, right? And there's more joy when everybody gets together, because that's just how everybody is now. And I know that for quite a while, there was nothing I could do. So I just stopped saying anything. And then they started to incorporate it. And that is my legacy. And that's my ripple. And that goes out and out. And I do see with my clients, the people that I work closely with, a lot of them are having relationships that they never had before. I mean, the results that we have with I work mostly with women. I have half a dozen men that I work with, but not in the groups and everything. They come to me for a medical thing, right? No matter what it is, but their relationships. Some of them change careers because they finally, and here's the thing. The children, stick with me on this. The children go off to school, eating better. Now, what do you think happens? I mean, I see it. And they say to me, oh my God, we were so busy. They just had like, you said Cheerios, right? Well, Cheerios is go power, right? Wrong. And maybe the kid has a bad day. And then when we get together, I rewind and they go, yeah. So it's everywhere. And for me, it's affected our business. It's affected relationship between my husband and I. I mean, I told you we're now music, and we have so much is different, not different, but deeper. Okay. It's like the horizon is further. Like when I look out the plane, I see further. I'm across the street from a lake here. We moved to the mountains 3.5 years ago, but I see further. But the relationships with my family, to me, it's priceless. And I've had a wonderful relationship with my family. But to see what they're doing and how, again, they're adults, and how they're evolving is just, it's the best thing that I could experience.
And we only have, so when we are tired and when we're not feeding our bodies right, when we're not living in a place, that's joyful, that limits in our ability to expend energy on relationships and building joyful moments. So as a person that is bringing in these habits, it is amazing to see how it bleeds into all these other aspects of life. And then you can utilize that currency. So it's kind of like investments, compounding interest. It starts to build, and then all of a sudden it just gets richer and richer and richer, and life gets more and more full, just by starting with these, a penny a day, next day 2 pennies, next day 4 pennies, and by the end of the chessboard, you are extremely wealthy. And it's the same thing, those little habits.
A couple of other little things. Now, my children are all very athletic, okay? No matter what it is. The 4 of them, my children and my in-law children, the families are very athletic. But here was the thing. I remember my son and his family moved out to California about 9 years ago. He had the nerve to leave. Yeah. So I remember going out there and going on a walk with him. And I couldn't walk up the trail. So I stopped. And I vowed then. And a couple of years ago, we were out there and I went all the way up. And they're going, oh, Gaga, look at you, go, Gaga. The only thing I didn't go to the top because I was afraid, because there were no rails and I couldn't do that for a height. But I'm not left out. Okay, I'm not left behind.
Yeah, you get to experience life more fully.
Yes. And that was a specific example of what had happened. And it happened with a client of mine actually last year. First 6 weeks, we had our sessions, she was in bed, was lying down. And then 4 months later, she sent me a video. She was hiking with her family. She sent me a video that they had. It's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal.
So for people out there that are, they are kind of, they may not be dealing with, stage 4 lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, but they're kind of recognizing, they're hearing now that, yes, I want to make a change. I want to I don't feel as good as I would like to feel. I
Yeah.
feel a little achy, a little headachy. I don't have energy when I wake up. I don't sleep as well as I would like. I wake up several times, a little moody, depression, maybe anxiety sometimes. What is kind of a form or a prescription that you would give them, that here, do this, start with this, these simple things? I mean, we talked about the lemon water, we
Yeah.
talked about green juice, so how should they, what should their next steps be to start their journey towards health if you had them in front of you?
Well, the interesting thing is that you don't have to wait for a crisis, and obviously what you're doing morning and noon and night is really working on that, and especially with this summit and all the information that you're gathering and putting out there for people. It's the exact same thing. Whether you are healthy, want to be healthy, or in a crisis, the lifestyle is exactly the same. So, we talked about starting your day like that. We talked about just getting three ingredients that you can bring in that are alkaline. Everybody loves avocado or spinach or broccoli or chard or bell peppers. Bring those things in. Just add a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Have green tea in the afternoon. We talked about not giving up chocolate. I'm not talking about a Snickers bar. No product placement, but I'm not talking about that. I have a bag of cacao chocolates, squares, every afternoon. We have green tea and just a little bite of the cacao. These are, this is not about deprivation. And that's the most important message. It's not about depriving yourself. You deprive yourself all day long. That's something that needs to be dissolved. Bring in your hot water with lemon. Use your lotion. Get energy around you. Walk outside. Little things. Have green tea in the afternoon with a little piece of cacao chocolate. Find a really good, healthy smoothie that you like. And I'm not talking about with a lot of fruit in it, right? Find something that you love. And here's something that is really important. I want to say that if you have family, get them involved. Don't fight with your children. Don't fight with your spouse. Let them pick which foods they want to bring in. Don't preach, because that starts to, but involve everybody in making smart choices. I don't care what you eat that's alkaline food. I don't care what 3 ingredients you choose, just as long as you're choosing them from the right menu, from the right basket.
Yeah, we have our children, when they go to school, so we have like a vegetable tray, and they get to then choose, so we don't tell them you get to do that vegetable or this vegetable. We ask them, what kind of vegetables would you like on the tray? And then they get to pick their own vegetables,
Exactly.
out of that tray, so they feel empowered, and this is something that they are choosing, and it becomes such a easier process, and then we know they get those nutrients in them every day when they're going to school.
Exactly. And then even without telling them, but you start to see behavior changes. What happens in a family when that starts to happen, no matter what the generation is, right?
Yeah, there's less quarrels, and I loved in regards to instead of preaching what should be, becoming what should be. So in your case, you lived this lifestyle, and over time, I mean, yes, maybe not the first year, the second year, or the fifth year, the children did what you were doing, but
Mhm.
it starts to just become normal and accepted,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it becomes part of their lifestyle. So
Mhm.
it's just being in a place that people can replicate is more, it's more important than trying to share your wisdom all the time.
Right, you can't. It's like a lot of eye rolling, or you can't. And I'll tell you, it kind of breaks my heart when I see friends that I read that or see that they do have some kind of a diagnosis, and I'll turn to Nevin and I'll go, why didn't they call me? He said, well, you're not a prophet in your own house. But I I don't want anybody tying my laces that hasn't walked in my shoes, right? When I go to somebody to help me in my business, I would never, never have a business coach that does not have a multiple seven-figure business. Why would I? It's like asking your Uncle Ralph on the back porch for financial advice, you know? So authority is a really interesting thing. And I have this thought and this concept about you need to become your own authority figure. And I call it your chief health officer. Your chief health. You need to become the authority figure for yourself. We are listening. We are used to listening to authority all the time. And don't let anybody take that from you. Educate yourself. If you're watching this and you're watching this summit and all this information, that's where you're headed. But you need to be your own authority and trust it. It's Tony the Tiger is an authority figure for kids. That's not what they should be eating, right? So, Tom Brady has the career he has. Look at the way he eats. That's a much better authority. So, but the authority that children look up to very, very early needs to change, needs to be the right authority. And you need to be your own authority, your chief health officer. And you can pass that on with confidence in everything we talked about.
Yeah, so who should you listen to in regard to your health? I mean, here you have your overweight medical doctor, telling you to, do this, do that. Is that somebody that, like you're talking about in business, we follow the advice of somebody that is proven to be successful, and we should do the same in health when we see this individual is living this lifestyle, this is what is being achieved, this is what their level of health, that is more what I would like to replicate, rather than somebody just saying, here, take some metformin this, or take this much insulin, or here you need to be on this heart medication or this cholesterol medication. Is that the individual that you want to follow, or do you want to follow the one that is proven to live a full, healthy life, without, it's not being without disease, it's about achieving optimum health.
Exactly. I have conversations, and it's like, when you eat from a box, listen, follow the money, no matter where you are, follow the money, right? When you eat from a box, you are supporting somebody else's dream. When you eat from God's garden, you're supporting your own. You can either be a donut or a garden. You can, but you have to be your own authority figure, right? So whose dream are you creating? And again, this Tony the Tiger, again, it's not a placement of anything, but becomes we talk about Cheerios, right? What's the first food little kids get? Cheerios, right? Go Pep. We're getting a little more all the time. The veil is being lifted. Trust your source. Trust nature, you're designed to thrive in nature, and everything changes. It's like a veil is lifted. And it's a beautiful thing, because you know what? The world needs you to be healthy. There's a lot of stuff going on. You want to make a difference? You need to be at the table where decisions are made.
Yeah, the world is healthier when you are healthy. And
Wow. May I borrow that? I'll give you credit.
you can use it whichever way you like.
Yeah.
And also when people talk about, well, I don't like that, or I don't like eating this food, it doesn't taste that good. What people need to recognize is that we have a gut biome that adjusts based upon what we're eating. And so our preferences comes in from the gut biome that we have. And when we change dietary habits, our gut biome will change. And now you will then have the different bacteria and different things in your gut that will then prefer the new way of eating, and that becomes tasty to you. So it's just giving it the time to allow the gut biome to change. So you tell your gut biome what it should look like based upon what you're eating. If you want garbage bacteria, garbage parasites, candida, and let that drive your dietary habits, then eat the soft donuts and be, soft, holy, and squishy. Or if you want to then have a gut biome that is fed on good food, and that is also then supporting your brain function, your blood-brain barrier, and all of these things, then eat food that creates that. So that's just kind of a little extra thing that I want to throw out there.
Absolutely. Well, it was what we were saying. I mean, life is too short for excuses. Well, I can't give up my cheese, and okay. What's the story you're going to tell your family when news comes? Or, what are the excuses? And what do you really want? What do you want? What do you really want? And you can always, there's always great substitutes for your cravings. It's easier than you think. And just, who do you really want to listen to? Do you want to listen to source, whatever that is, and nature that is all around us? Or, you're going to build somebody else's house because you're eating out of a box.
I love it. Well, Elaine, it is always such a pleasure, and you bring so much such light and love to the world with everything that you do. Thank you so much. How can people find you? Where can they learn more about what you do?
We are Renewed Living. So our website is renewedlivinginc.com, renewedlivinginc.com. You can get me at Elaine, renewedlivinginc.com, Elaine at renewedlivinginc.com. We have a very strong women's community, and that's called the Extraordinary Sisterhood. It's a wonderful, thriving, private Facebook group. We've got several thousand women, and we're on a mission to create, extraordinary lifestyles, legacies, longevity, and love. So that's the Extraordinary Sisterhood on Facebook, or renewedlivinginc.com. And, let us offer you, and you can see what's out there. And we just want to really, really put you in a position to really live optimal health, vitality, and joy. I believe you should live that every single day.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Elaine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Talks. We hope today's episode has enlightened and inspired you on your path to optimal health. Each day is a new opportunity to make choices that empower your well-being. For more insights and strategies, subscribe to our podcast and visit our website, www.drtalks.com. Stay connected, stay healthy, and join us next time on Dr. Talks. Real talks from real doctors on the issues that matter to you most.